Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be adding details to the city and also discussing our plans for 2025. So let's get started. All right, so before we get started with adding the details and talking about the plans for the city, I did get this order in from Lego finally. They had another weekend of double points about a week or two ago at this point, and the pieces finally came in. It was a very small order, but I did get the 8x16 road plate and the 8x16 crosswalk that was missing in front of the base plate where I'm planning to put the Tudor corner. So that is really nice to see. That finally came in. And I also got a couple extra pieces, little odds and ends, and also the 1x1 black tiles to finish the rail ties for the city. So that's really awesome to see. I'm really happy about that. This is just a voiceover. This isn't like the main point of the video. So I wanted to get in, get out, and show you guys the pieces so we can actually use them today. And that's pretty much it for me, to be honest with you, for this order. I'm really happy that this finally came in. This is not the normal bricks and pieces order that I make. You know, normally it's a lot larger than this, but this was just the essentials to hit the free shipping threshold, plus a little extra. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get started on working on the city. All right, so the first spot that I want to tackle in the city and help clean up is actually in the back. So we're going to jump over there and we're going to start talking about that region of the city. All right, so this is the section that I'm talking about right here. I finally got in the black 1x1 tiles and also a couple dark brown 1x1 plates as well. So I can finally finish this section of track here and it will have all of the ties on it. And then we can finally have a completed set of ballasted train track until the expansion table goes in, but that's for another day. But so let's get started on this, and then we can talk about the plans for the area and also the plans for this building right here and stuff like that. All right, so that was a pretty easy fix, but this whole section is done now, and so that feels pretty good to get done, and I think it looks a lot better. And I did also go ahead and add the extra 1x1 plates to this dark brown sleeper right over here. I did not forget about that, and so that is pretty much the entire train track done, which is great. I did get a comment a little while ago at this point asking why the dark brown was a part of the train track here, and that is simply to just add a little bit of extra detail to it so it's not all black rail ties or sleepers. It just adds a little bit of extra color, adds a little bit of extra interest to it as well, and I think it looks good, and so that's why it's here. But my plans for this area as a whole are pretty up in the air at the moment. I do actually, for 2025, one of my goals is to clean up this back edge here. It won't take that long, but deciding on what I want to do is probably the biggest hurdle at the moment, is because these base plates are basically just sitting on brick, and so that's how I really cheaply and effectively mills plated this section right here with the brown base plate, the Jazz Club, and the Parisian restaurant. And so that worked out really good, I think, but I do need to figure out a design to cover this back here because these bricks under the base plates here don't look all that great. So I need to figure out something for that. I don't know if I want to do something like I did behind the police station and the boutique hotel, or if I want to do something different back here. So that is something to keep noted on my checklist of things to do for 2025, but hopefully that will get done sooner rather than later, and to also clean up the small edges around the train crossings as well. But as for this base plate right here, I don't want to give too much away, but I am considering making a larger building, maybe not like a total skyscraper, but maybe having a bridge in between the two buildings. So perhaps it could go here, and then there's a bridge, like a pedway bridge to this base plate right here, or maybe it goes here and then the pedway bridge is over this road and that building will also sit here. That's very tentative in my head. I don't know how that would work logistically, if it would be, you know, two separate buildings and then that's just its own module, or if that is just built into one building, or what color it's going to be, what the storefront's going to be, if it's an apartment complex, if it's a factory. You know, I haven't gotten there yet, but that is something I want to keep in mind, and that is something I want to at least start in 2025. I'm thinking this way just to have the city have a little bit more dimension to it, but So hypothetically, if it does go here, then we're going to have one other change, which I will talk about momentarily, but I think that could look really cool. And so if you guys agree with that, definitely drop a comment down below for me on what you think of that. And also, if you like this style of video that's more chill and casual, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss when any other uploads on this channel come out, because there's going to be some really awesome content coming in the near future that you're not going to want to miss. Now for this brown base plate right here, if that multi-building thing goes over here, then this is still open. And so what I'm considering for this area right here is maybe a 16 by 32 modular here, and then maybe like a little corner build on the side. Something custom, definitely, because the 2025 modular is the Tudor corner, and that is a corner. Obviously, it's in the name. And so Lego's not going to be making an official custom corner building for another couple years. So that is something to keep in mind. So I'm going to be focusing on custom stuff in this back section here. And so I think that could be really cool. But as for different storefronts and stuff, I haven't totally decided. The city does need more food places, I think, like more casual places to eat. So I think maybe like a deli or perhaps like a convenience store or something like that. I think that could be really cool here. But that's all tentative, like I said. And so as for the other change that I was talking about, this area right here is not enough for one rectangular base plate, area-wise. Because it has the 32 studs of depth this way, but it doesn't have 32 studs of depth going this way here. The 32 studs would end pretty much right on the edge of the train track here. So that is something to keep in mind. And also, as it is right now, the Orient Express, when it runs around the layout, does not love this switch track right here, immediately followed by this curve. It does get caught up on that sometimes, especially if the batteries are nearing the end of their life cycle. So what I've been considering is putting another segment of straight track right here and bumping this corner out, or curve track right to the edge, and then the train track would just go straight back that way. I think that could be really cool. And then I would have this switch track move over as well, and then have another switch track coming into this middle lane here, and then having a curve going into this siding here as well, just to make the train hug the edge of the entire layout. I think that could be pretty cool. And then that would also give more space in this section right here if I want to add an additional thing on the side of whatever building ends up going here, like the one that I was talking about, or something else entirely. So that is where I'm at with this at the moment. I will probably end up making this change sooner as opposed to later. And so that is something I'm really considering. So if you guys have any opinions on that, definitely let me know. I think that's probably a smarter choice. I do understand that if I move this switch track over and then I connect this end of the switch track to this end of this right switch here, and then the straight section of it here would connect to the curve and then eventually go into the siding here. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is kind of my idea. So the main track will go this way, and then the switch will go this way, and then if you just followed that, it would just go into the curve instead of that second switch, and then it would go around that way. I don't know if that was very clear of an explanation, but I hope I got my point across with that. And so I understand that in doing that, these would not be exactly in line with the base plate seams. So I would have to redo these sidings and make them sit on tiles instead of plate, just so I could remove it if I ever needed to get these base plates out of here. So that is something to keep in mind. And also, one more thing that I want to work on in the near future, especially in 2025, is this back section of mills plating and foundations here, because as it is right now, these backs don't look that great. I did start fixing this up over here with the masonry bricks under the mills plate here, but that is something that I need to figure out for this whole line of base plates here. But now let's get started on actually working on some of the other details that I wanted to add to the city today. All right, so the next thing that I want to add to the city is actually the crossing and the 8x16 road plate to this section right here. These just came in the mail, and so I'm pretty happy about that. And so now we can go in and add the stuff in right here, and then we can get all the tiles in, the 2x4 tiles, and have it all look good. So without me talking too much more, let's just jump right into this one. All right, so I added the crosswalk and the 8x16 in, and I added the sidewalk extenders back on top. And so now I just have to go in and add the 2x4 tiles and then the one printed 2x4 tile that goes in the middle right here. And then that's pretty much it. And then we can talk about this area and my plans for that as well. All right, so now that the tiles are in, this area is pretty much done except for the curved slopes, which I will grab in just a second here. But I do want to start talking about some of my plans for this area here. Namely, the Tudor corner is going to go here. That is, I'm like 85% sure about that. You know, I do plan on buying it January 1st and bringing it home, building it, and then placing it here in the studio shortly thereafter. So hopefully, my first plan is to put it here. So hopefully it looks good here. If not, then I could also always just put it back there next to the jazz club. But I don't know if I want to rearrange all of the buildings in here, because as it is, I quite like the layout of it. And so I think it'll look good here. I guess we'll see, obviously, on January 1st. So definitely stay tuned for that. But the side right there with the 16x32 that's open, that is going to be a custom build to kind of match the architectural design of the Tudor corner. I had a comment suggesting I do that to help kind of bridge the gap between that and the rest of the city. And I think that's a great idea. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Definitely in 2025, because I don't have the Tudor corner yet. As you guys can see, I am not sponsored by Lego, unfortunately. But on the other side of the street here is pretty much an open bag of ideas and space. So right here we have the Holiday Main Street. That is, I kind of just put that there randomly, but that could definitely move. That is not tied to that location there. I could move it to this base plate. I could move it over, or perhaps even one after that. But this light gray Mills plate right here, I'm thinking that is going to be the office for the train yard. I don't know what it's going to look like. I did start mocking up a plan, but then again, I don't know what that's going to end up looking like, just because I have no idea. So I need to sit down and start figuring that out one of these days. And so that is also one of my main projects for 2025, is to figure this out. And so that is, you know, I tossed around a couple different ideas with these grooved columns here, and also with this red sign, and then the black arches, as you guys can see on the base plate. So there's a couple of different ideas going on. It's all not going to come together as one, I don't think. So that is something to keep in mind. But so let me grab those curved slopes for the sidewalk before I forget, and then we can talk about the other base plates around here, and also the train station and the rest of the city. All right, so I got the curved slopes in for this crossing here, and even though I don't have all the 2x2 tiles, and obviously the building is also not in on that side of the street, I think this looks a lot better already, and I'm really happy with this. Now, moving over to the other side here, I did have a couple of ideas. I had a couple people asking me if I was going to get the Botanical Garden or the X Mansion. Those both came out around a month and a half ago at this point, nearly 2 months ago, and so I honestly, at this point in the city, let me take a little bit of a step back for you. It's looking like a no. The city is pretty full at the moment as it is, and then this space over here, I don't want to get two sets and then just have it all be gone. So I'm definitely not going to get the X Mansion until it gets on sale for a considerable discount. But even then, I don't know where I could put it in the city, because there's been a number of videos online showing it next to other modular buildings and the Marvel sets that are modular compatible, and it just doesn't look right. So I'm probably going to pass on it unless there's a really, really good deal. But the Botanical Garden is a different story, and I've been keeping the camera on the museum here because that's actually where I would put it. So I have two ideas for the Botanical Garden if I do end up getting it in 2025, and obviously I still have this exact city layout here. Option number one is to take the museum out and put the Botanical Garden in. This is a 2 base plate wide section right here, and the museum is 1.5, and then I added the 8x16 base plates on each corner of the museum to expand it out, expand the garden around the museum itself, and to just give it a little bit of extra sidewalk. And I think that turned out really good. The walls are a little bit plain on the sides, but that doesn't bother me. I think it looks fine. So option one is to take all of that out and put the botanical garden in. And then as for where the museum would go, it could either go here on this section of open base plates here. I can inset it in a little bit on this open table here where the crane is. And then I can make a custom corner building here and do a bunch of cool stuff there. So that's definitely a possibility. Or I could put the museum over here. I don't like that idea as much just because there's not a lot of sidewalk space here. There's not a lot of depth to work with. But that is an option. Now, the option number two, instead of taking the museum out and putting the botanical garden there, I take all of this out and then I put the botanical garden here. I think that could work. I think that has potential to look really good. This half of the table would have a lot of green space on it, from all of the green in the farm, the green from this, the green from the train station, and the botanical garden. If it does go here, that would be a lot of green, but I think it would look really good. And it would kind of give a little bit of varying heights to the city as well, because the botanical garden's kind of short. And then this is a little bit taller. These are all around the same height. And then that eventual building that I was considering would be taller than that. And also the mountain would be a lot taller as well. As for where these buildings would go, I don't know. I would have to rearrange the stuff around here to make it look good and to make sure everything is up to, I guess, my standards. I'll call it that. So that is something I've been kind of toying with. It is a very expensive set at $330 US. So it's not something I'm going to be getting anytime soon, but that has been on the back of my mind for stuff to happen in 2025. As for stuff that is actually concrete happening in 2025 is the train station. I am planning on finishing that. That is my main project at the moment. I am waiting on the standard portion of pieces from Lego's Bricks and Pieces service to have the doors and the windows and a couple of extra bricks for this. And so once that comes in, I will be able to add all of the pieces to that. And that is going to be pretty much done with the first floor. And then it should be one more video doing the roof. And then that is pretty much that. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. I think we didn't do a whole lot of building today. It was just this and the rail ties in the back. But I think this was a good video to kind of end the year on. Obviously, I'm not done making videos for the year, but this is kind of one of the last videos that I'm making to help wrap up the year. And so I think this is a good place to leave it off and to also put my ideas out there for what to expect in 2025. And so if you guys are excited for that stuff, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys have any feedback for me on all of this stuff that I just talked about and the city as a whole, and also what you want to see in 2025, make sure to drop a comment down below for me. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching. 2024 was an amazing year, and it's not done yet, but it's been really, really awesome so far, and hopefully 2025 is even better. So seriously, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.